4 officers have been shot in 24 hours in 4 cities, and authorities call 2 of the shootings targeted attacks. The organization known as Blue Lives Matter is speaking out about the shootings. Lieutenant Randy Sutton represents Blue Lives Matter, and he joins us now by Skype. Welcome, Randy.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Talk about what has happened in this 24-hour time period.
Tragedy has happened. We've seen the targeted assassination attempts of 4 police officers. 2 have been actually attempted assassinations. The other 2 were shootings at police officers. And we have seen the death of one of those officers who was, in all reality, executed by a coward who walked up behind him and literally shot him through the window of his patrol car while he was writing a ticket. 20-year veteran of the San Antonio Police Department. Absolute tragedy. And another officer who was also targeted thought he was going to be given directions to someone who just pulled up next to him. Instead, the man produced a firearm and shot him in the face twice.
For those who are not familiar with Blue Lives Matter, Randy, explain your organization and its goal.
Blue Lives Matter is a grassroots organization made up of police officers, their families, and those who support the American law enforcement officer. We have approximately 1.2 million followers on our Facebook page. Our website, bluelivesmatter.blue, gets anywhere between 6 and 10 million hits, individual hits a month. We are the largest grassroots police support organization in the country.
A news release on behalf of Blue Lives Matter reads that, quote, attacks against law enforcement officers will not be tolerated in America and must be met with swift justice. Can you elaborate on that statement, Randy?
Well, the state of Texas just came out with a statement that they are trying to move forward with legislation which will enhance the legislation for an attack on a law enforcement officer, making it a hate crime as well. And this is the type of legislation that needs to be adopted all over the country. And in addition to that, law enforcement officers need to have the additional training given to them that they so need in officer survival techniques. There has been a push under the Obama administration for, quote, softer policing, unquote, which also includes the removal of some safety equipment that was given to police officers, police departments, and was actually taken away from them. So there needs to be, and I think we're going to see it under this new president, we're going to see a whole different day dawning for the American law enforcement officer, I'm hoping.
Let's talk a little bit more about the future as far as with law enforcement. Where do you see things going in the near future and then long term?
Well, unfortunately, I see more and more violence. Right now, as of today, the deaths, the murders of police officers is up approximately 80% from last year. That is a very destructive trend. And with what we are seeing with the empowering of people who want to conflict physically with law enforcement officers, I think we're going to see more of it until the pendulum starts to swing the other way. Remember, this nation in the last 8 years has been under the leadership of someone who has demonstrated a hostility to law enforcement officers, and that has carried over. And I believe that has poisoned the well, if you will. Many people now feel that they can openly go against law enforcement in a physical fashion with no consequences, and this cannot be tolerated. And law enforcement needs to come to the realization that training and accepting that the use of force is a way of life. For the law enforcement officer, it must be taken very seriously.
Anything else that you want to say, Randy? Anything else that you want to get across?
There is something else that I'd like to say. And, we've seen some horrible violence. We've seen the deaths of so many brave law enforcement officers and catastrophic injuries. But we're seeing something else. We're seeing growing for the American law enforcement officer. And our group, which is just a grassroots group of folks, is a perfect example of that. Before all this madness had started, where would you have found more than 1.2 million people openly supporting the law enforcement profession? You wouldn't have. So we're also seeing something different. In fact, in the last week, 3 times citizens came to the aid of police officers in trouble who were in physical altercations. We haven't seen that either. So I think that there's positive things on the horizon, and I am really hopeful that under this new presidency, we're going to see a great change.
All right, Lieutenant Randy Sutton of Blue Lives Matter, thanks for your time today, sir.
Thank you so much for having me.